Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Super excited to do a rundown of how to generate lists on Propwire to find your first seller and your first seller finance deal. So please stick to the end. I think you're going to get tremendous value out of it. This is what we do every single day to find sellers that are willing to sell their house to us on Creative Finance. So excited to get to it. All right, let's jump into it. So we're going to start off with a website called Propwire. It is completely for free. You don't need to pay a monthly subscription to pull these lists, but you will probably have to pay money to pull the phone numbers, right? So that's what we call skip tracing. But I'm going to do a full walkthrough of how you can find your first list that will ultimately lead to your first seller that will sell you their home, seller finance, subject to creative finance, whatever you name it. But for the sake of this video, and because there's so many different types of lists, let's start with seller finance specifically. So let's start with my city. So obviously Louisville, Kentucky is where I'm at. So let's pull this list up here. So there's 253,000 properties out here. So let's niche it down. So which list should you pull if you're trying to find a seller finance deal? So there's a couple different lists you can pull. So I would assume free and clear and high equity. So we talked about equity in a different video on this YouTube channel. But the biggest thing is the difference between the mortgage and what the house value is, and that's your equity, right? So high equity means you can have a higher chance to get a seller finance deal. So let's niche it down. Let's say you're first starting out and you're looking for a single family property, right? Now we're reducing it to 58,000, and then let's look for price range. So price shouldn't really matter in a seller finance deal, but if you're looking for a rental, obviously you want to look at, what the houses are worth in your area and all this stuff. So for me, I think our max is going to be 300,000. So now it's cutting down to 44,000. And then let's go to the more tab. Let's go to property filters. Let's take a look at it. So I personally, this is a personal preference. I don't want any houses older than 1950. That's just because when you get into homes older than 1950, they might have foundational issues, they might have electrical issues, things that you have to fix in order to make it rentable, right? So building size, you don't want anything that's super big. Let's subtract it to 2,500 square feet. Now remember, these are all personal preferences for me, but this is just what I'm looking for, right? Let's go to owners. Let's go for individuals. So you can do businesses, you can do trust. I like individuals because it's easier. You can go direct to the seller. You don't have to do any more homework to try to find the owners of these LLCs or businesses. So for your sake of beginning it, for your first time, let's go with the individuals, right? You can even do a property count. So let's say you're looking for a seller finance deal, right? And you get a hold of a seller and they actually own 10 properties in a portfolio. So if you happen to find someone that wants to sell their house seller finance, relationships go a long way in this business. If this deal goes right and they're happy and they're doing all this stuff, what's stopping them from selling their other properties to you seller finance? Or they may know somebody that has other properties and willing to vouch for you, right? So let's go to 5 to 20 properties, right? So this is like portfolio type deals. And let's see what we come up with. And I will say that we did a deal in Iowa where we bought 6 condos, seller finance subject to. And, remember when I was talking about relationships, the broker that actually did the deal with us told us that there was a seller in that same apartment complex as us that owns 10 more of those condos and would be willing to have a conversation with us, knowing that that deal went well and we actually ended up closing on it. So that's pretty awesome. I'm going to talk about that in a later video as well. So with all these different filters that we put into this, now we have a list of 1,800 people. So that is a lot more manageable than a 58, 55,000 list, right? So you can do a couple different things. So You can cold call these sellers, so you can actually find the owner's phone numbers. And remember, these are all individuals, so these are not companies. So you can find the owner's phone number, give them a call, cold call them, and see if they're interested in selling. You can do all these different types of marketing campaigns if you have a little bit or little bit more money. Like for us, we do a lot of direct mail campaigns, so you can send, letters to these owners to see if they're willing to sell their property, right? So obviously these are portfolio type deals. So we filtered out, owners that have 5 to 20 properties. As we dive further and kind of scroll down, you'll see that all these homes have an estimated equity of 100%. So there is, no mortgage tied to it, et cetera, et cetera. So this would be the perfect opportunity for a seller finance where the owner can sell it to you at a higher purchase price, but allow monthly payments until they're paid off. So how this really cool thing is you can select all these properties and you can actually click this link here and you can skip trace these properties, right? And usually you have to pay money for these. But this is a way to do it. So you can skip trace all those owners. And then if you have a lot of time, you can cold call these sellers yourself. So let's dive into a more specific property, right? So this says it's off market, free and clear, high equity. So let's take a look at it. So once you're in Propwire, you can kind of see that, that there's no mortgage on the property or nothing recorded to it on the public data. Kind of gives you a breakdown of what the property looks like. Not tax delinquent, how much it was assessed, and all this stuff. So I don't want to click the owner tab because it does show the owner's name and also the address of the owner. So I don't want to post this on YouTube, but if you clicked owner, it would show you who the owner is and where the address is of what that person's living at. So you can also quickly do comps on Propwire as well. So as you can see that this house was a 2 bedroom, 1 bath. So you would just go through your filters, go through 2 bedroom, and it's a 1 bath property. And it shows the 3 homes in the area that kind of match what you're looking for, right? So you can kind of see what prices are being sold in the area and you can kind of work off that, right? To quickly comp a property. Now, obviously, when you're underwriting a property is a little more complicated than that, but this gives you a kind of like an estimation of what the house can sell for or what the house is worth. And when you're underwriting seller finance deals, the purchase price doesn't really necessarily matter because you're paying the seller over time. So you can actually be flexible with this if you have the right structure or the right terms. But this is just the basics. You're going to pull this data. This is, recent data in the city, right? Median home sales in the area. It just shows you all this data and the demographics behind it. But Propwire is a great way to generate your list.